Hello everyone, Leah Harlann here, and Happy New Year! I know it's the end of January, but I was sick and lost my voice for most of this month, so it was a pretty rough start to the new year. But let me be the first to welcome you back to my reading corner, where we can enjoy all kinds of content, from fantasy and fanfiction to gacha games and graduate school. Today I'm going to talk about the books that are coming out in 2023 that I'm most looking forward to. I will be doing another video soon about my reading wrap-up for 2022, but considering I'm already getting a late start on 2023 releases, I figured I would do this one first. So anyway, let's dive in. Alright, before we get started on the upcoming releases, it is the end of January, so I would first like to go ahead and do a set of honorable mentions to books that have already come out just in this month of January, which is kind of funny because according to my list, there were 5 books that came out in January that I was relatively interested in, and 5 books coming out for the entire rest of the year that I am excited about, as well as 4 extra books that I don't really know much about, but I do think I want to check out. So it's kind of wild that about a third of my anticipated list only came out in the first month. So let's go ahead and go through those first. It'll only be, we'll just touch on them really fast because I'm sure most of you already know about or have heard about these. Hey everyone, Editor Leah here. So really quickly, when I recorded this video, I actually forgot to check ahead of time which books I should not be discussing in order to show my support for the HarperCollins union strike. They are still on strike. It's been 65 days, I think, something around that, and they are in mediation, but they have not received a fair contract yet. So to continue showing my support, I will be omitting certain books that were on my original script from this video. And if we do eventually find out that they got a fair contract, then maybe I will re-upload a new version that has all of the books listed. But until then, I will be including links in the video description so that you can also show your support for the HarperCollins union. They deserve fair contracts. The publishing industry has a long history of undervaluing and underpaying their staff, and they really do deserve better. They deserve a livable wage and benefits. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. First is Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Amélie Wen Zhao. This came out pretty early on in the month. I saw copies of it when I was shopping at Barnes & Noble for the 50% off hardcover sale, and I got really excited. I did actually get an ARC of this book through NetGalley, but didn't get around to reading it because I was really trying to finish a couple other books before the end of the year. I do think I'm going to like this one a lot. It is Xianja inspired. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's basically like Chinese high fantasy, and it's got themes of colonialism and like I said, high fantasy, and the main character sounds like a really badass female protagonist, so always in my wheelhouse. And I do think, I don't know whether to say this or not, let's just say I haven't bought a copy of this yet or checked it out from my library, because I think I'm getting a copy of it in a month or two from a certain subscription box. I won't say more than that. If you do want to know specifically what I'm talking about, I did begin this year with subscriptions to Illumicrate and Fairy Loot's YA and adult book-only boxes. All 3 are book-only. So I have started a new hashtag on Twitter called #BookboxBets, where I retweet whenever those book subscription Twitter accounts tweet their themes for the future months, and I quote tweet them with my predictions about what the book will be. So if you're interested in checking those out, you can follow my Twitter account. So yes, I don't want to say too much specifics, but I do think I'm going to be getting this book in one of those book boxes. So I have held off on checking it out from my library. Next is Spice Road. Spice Road. Spice Road. What is a spice robe? Don't know. But Spice Road, which I heard a little bit about late last year as well. I think I applied for an arc of this one, but did not get it. Or I did. I don't remember. I didn't read like any arcs last year. I probably should stop trying to get those because my TBR is like a mile long and it's not even that many new releases. It's just a lot of older stuff that I missed out on. Anyway, Spice Road sounds really interesting. I believe it's a magic system based on spice. So another one that I want to check out. And I can't remember if I got on I don't know if I'm getting this one right away or if I'm going to check it out later. We'll see. I'll kind of wait to see what other people have said about it. It is still brand new, and I don't want spoilers, so I have to be very careful when looking for information about it. Next is Tress of the Emerald Sea, and for those of you who don't know, this is the first of Brandon Sanderson's secret project books from his ridiculously successful, again, most successful of all time Kickstarter that he held last year, where he is going to be releasing 4 secret project books throughout this year, once each quarter. And this is the first one, like I said, Tress of the Emerald Sea. I think it's a standalone novel. I know it's inspired by The Princess Bride. You can see on the title, it is part of the Cosmere. It has been a hot minute since I read any Brandon Sanderson novels. I was partway through book 3 of the Stormlight Archive, Oathbringer, and I kind of just was like really burnt out at the time. And Brandon Sanderson fans know, especially with the Stormlight Archive, those books are thick with like 5 C's. So I was so burnt out from other stuff going on in my life at the time that I had to put it down. And I do swear I'm going to come back to it at some point. But I think I want to start off with some smaller stuff from him. There's plenty of other works in his catalog that I have not completed yet. And I've just been adding more and more of them to my TBR over the last couple years, but not actually getting to any of them. So this year, one of my reading goals is to read more Brandon Sanderson books, get back to Brandon Sanderson. And I did not back his Kickstarter. I actually just missed it. I was so out of touch at the time with Booktube and the book space. So I am a little disappointed that I missed out on it, but I do kind of like that I can now be picky. Maybe I don't want all 4 of his secret project books. If I'm hoping I enjoy Tress of the Emerald Sea, I might pick up the premium hardcover. I believe there's still a few extra copies that you can pre-order from his website. And so if I enjoy reading it, I definitely plan to buy a copy. Maybe I actually haven't checked to see if it's in my library yet. I don't know if libraries and other places will be getting it anytime soon. I just know that it's already shipped out to the backers. So that's why it's like hard to say about this one's publication date, because technically it has already released. Like I said, his backers have gotten their copies of the books. But because I wouldn't be able to buy a copy for myself until all of the Kickstarter books have shipped out, and according to his website, Dragonsteel, that wouldn't be until late February or March. I don't actually know if any, bookstores, libraries, any other places have this book yet. I will have to check back. And then the last book that came out in January, in fact, it came out today, January 31st, is The Terraformers by Annalee Newitz. This one is sci-fi, or at least more sci-fi, from what I know about it. I don't know that much. I just know that the main character is in this. I do believe it's completely sci-fi. It takes place in a setting where people can form a sort of connection or bond with the planet that they live on and feel what the Earth is feeling. And I think the main character is part of some team that is meant to terraform planets for humans. And it's just kind of an interesting premise. I don't read that much sci-fi, but I have watched a few sci-fi shows that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I really liked Altered Carbon. I liked The Expanse, and I mean, of course, I like Star Trek and some of those older ones, but I'm really interested in this one from its premise. So, but I would say it's low priority. If I hear like super rave reviews about it, maybe it'll move up the list, but until then, I'd say it's pretty low, especially behind some of the books that I didn't get to from last year. Now, though, we can turn to the upcoming releases for the rest of 2023. There are a couple on this list, just a heads up, where the dates that I found are only tentative, so they are subject to change. I will let you know when we get to those books. I have put these in chronological release order based on some of those tentative release dates, though. The first book that I'm looking forward to immensely this year Anyway, next book. Same day. Gonna be a bit of a dilemma for me. But this is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Many people should know Samantha Shannon and this book. This book is going to be a prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, I read Priory of the Orange Tree last year in April. It was one of the first books I actually read when I was getting back into reading and starting this channel and my TikTok. And that book was all over TikTok when I was looking for, the most popular fantasies to read to get caught up on. And I loved Priory of the Orange Tree. It was everything I wanted in an epic fantasy. It had all of the lush world building and the various cast of characters that were all interesting and unique, and getting to see their different perspectives was amazing. So I'm very looking forward to this book. I want to try and get my hands on a special edition of both books from the Broken Binding, but they sold out. Their pre-sale sold out in 5 minutes last month. 5 minutes. I was not prepared, so I did not manage to snag a copy from them, or a set from them, but I did hear that they are talking to the publisher, seeing if they can get their hands on a few more sets, so I will be stalking Broken Binding's Twitter page until I hear more about that. And probably won't be picking up a book until I know if I can get a set of those, because they are gorgeous. And 2023 is going to be my year of reckless spending on pretty books, because I have not done so for such a long time. Anyway, if you are familiar with Priory of the Orange Tree, I'm sure you're all very much looking forward to this book. If you are not familiar with Priory of the Orange Tree, but you've read other stuff by Samantha Shannon, or even if you haven't, you can still read this book without having read Priory, because it is a prequel, though I'm not sure how much of a primer or how prepared you will be. I don't know if I have time. Or no, I definitely don't have time to reread Priory before getting into this one. I may just check out some summaries or something. But I'll go ahead and read you the synopsis given from, I believe, Goodreads. Tunuva Malim is a sister of the Priory. For 50 years, she has trained to slay wyrms, but none have appeared since the Nameless One, and the younger generation is starting to question the Priory's purpose. To the north, in the Kingdom of Innis, Sabran the Ambitious has married the new King of Hroth, narrowly saving both realms from ruin. Their daughter Glorian trails in their shadow, exactly where she wants to be. It's been a while since I've read a book like this with so much fantasy in the naming. The dragons of the East have slept for centuries. Dumai has spent her life in a Seikanese mountain temple trying to wake the gods from their long slumber. Now someone from her mother's past is coming to upend her fate. When the Dreadmount erupts, bringing with it an age of terror and violence, these women must find the strength to protect humankind from a devastating threat. So it sounds like we have some characters that are in similar positions as the ones from Priory of the Orange Tree, but this does take place many years, centuries before the events of Priory of the Orange Tree. But we see, the Queendom is back, another Sabran. We see, we're back in Seiki. I don't remember how to say it. I think I don't know if I said the country name correctly. But, we've got the dragons of the East and the wyrms of the West. I love dragons. So I'm just really excited about this one. Priory of the Orange Tree was definitely one of my favorite books. Coming back to fantasy, it was such a great way to come back to epic fantasy. So I'm so glad that I came back and have this one coming out soon after. All right, next. Next book on the list is He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. This is a tentative release date of August 22nd, definitely subject to change, and as you can see, there is no cover yet for this book. Kind of funny because the next book is supposed to come out later than this one, but we do already know the cover. I'm not sure if that's just a publishing choice or the author. Whatever. This is the sequel to She Who Became the Sun, and I read that one last year too. So you'll notice there's a trend here. A lot of books that I read last year when I was coming back into reading fantasy all just so happen to have follow-up books, the sequels, prequels, what have you, coming out this year. And I just find myself extremely lucky for that. Excuse me, drink break. So let's get into the summary of He Who Drowned the World. How much would you give to win the world? Zhu Yuanzhang, oh my gosh, they're all Chinese names, I'm sorry. The Radiant King is riding high after her victory that tore southern China from its Mongol masters. Now she burns with a new desire, to seize the throne and crown herself emperor. But Zhu isn't the only one with imperial ambitions. Her neighbor in the south, the courtesan Madame Zhang, wants the throne for her husband, and she's strong enough to wipe Zhu off the map. To stay in the game, Zhu will have to gamble everything on a risky alliance with an old enemy, the talented but unstable eunuch general Ouyang, who has already sacrificed everything for a chance at revenge on his father's killer, the Great Khan. Unbeknownst to the Southerners, a new contender is even closer to the throne. The scorned scholar Wang Baoxiang has maneuvered his way into the capital, and his lethal court games threaten to bring the empire to its knees. For Baoxiang also desires revenge, to become the most degenerate Great Khan in history, and in so doing, make a mockery of every value his Mongol warrior family loved more than him. All the contenders are determined to do whatever it takes to win, but when desire is the size of the world, the price could be too much for even the most ruthless heart to bear. So this one I might actually try to squeeze in a reread before it comes out. It does look like my summer might be kind of light unless I'm playing mostly catch up on my old TBR picks. And I vaguely remember each of these characters. Zhu, of course, was our protagonist in the prior book, and we were looking through her perspective, I think a good 75 to 80% of the time. I do feel like we bounced over to Ouyang's perspective a little bit. They were kind of set up as like these rivals in a militaristic sense, and I really enjoyed it. I do remember being very interested in Ouyang's character, but I felt like his plotline was mostly resolved, so I'm not really sure. Yeah, it seems like Zhu is going to try to bring him in, like give him like a new purpose. And I just don't remember each of these characters that well. I feel like Madame Zhang came in kind of late in the game, and of course Baoxiang, I remember as like, you know, the scorned scholar. He was ridiculed a lot whenever we were looking in on the Mongol side, like with Ouyang, and he wasn't likable. He definitely was like an asshole. I guess a lot of these characters, I think all of these characters are assholes, actually. We'll see. I think I should reread She Who Became the Sun before I jump into this one, just to make sure. I do remember it being a very brutal, very dark fantasy, very similar to the Poppy War series, but less magic. More, low fantasy historical fiction. So I do want to read this one. I enjoyed it. I think I have to reread She Who Became the Sun. All right, last book that is highly anticipated. The last book that I am immensely looking forward to, definitely amongst my most anticipated, this one is probably my absolute most anticipated, and that is Heavenly Tyrant by Shiran J. Zhao. I have an entire vlog where you can watch me simp over Shiran J. Zhao for an embarrassing amount of time. Needless to say, I love them. I love their books. I have read both Iron Widow and Zachary Ying, their middle grade debut, and Heavenly Tyrant is the sequel to Iron Widow. We got this cover reveal last fall, and when I tell you I squealed, and then I've been following them on Twitter, and the news about the Iron Widow movie I'm very excited about. I'm just, I really hope that Shiran has the best 2023 ever. They deserve it, and I'm very much looking forward to this book. For those who, like I said, don't know, this is the sequel to Iron Widow, and I would like to just really stress that even in this synopsis, there are spoilers for, obviously how the last book went, because this one picks up right after the previous one. So this is your spoiler warning. Again, I really should have been giving spoiler warnings for the previous ones that were all sequels. Well, no, I guess just the last one. He Who Drawn the World also being a sequel means, spoilers for the book prior. But this one in particular. So let me go. Here's the synopsis. Having reclaimed her homeland from the Hunduns and learned the true nature of the gods, Iron Widow Zetian returns to Chang'an with Emperor General Qin Zheng to rule together and attempt to deconstruct the corrupt and misogynist system that plagues the country. However, she must not only contend with political unrest and continued Hundun attacks, but also with the gods themselves, who hold Li Shimin's life in their hands and seek to control Zetian as their puppet. Dangerous forces seek to undermine Zetian at every turn. Can she enact positive changes as a fair and just ruler and change the system from within? Or will she be forced to rely on fear and violence and succumb to her darker instincts, becoming almost as corrupt as Chang'an's previous rulers in her quest for vengeance? Oh, I'm so excited about this one. I hope there's all this. I hope that there are all the special editions. I want all of them. Okay, maybe not all of them, but I do want, I'm going to be hunting for the prettiest one. So if any of you hear news about special editions of Heavenly Tyrant, send those at me. Holler at your girl. I need them. I need them a lot. Very excited. And yes, okay, those are all of the major releases for 2023 that I am most excited for. You can see there's, a theme of these are books where I already liked the author a lot. Or they're sequels or prequels or related to books I've read by those authors. The honorable mentions, a lot of them, I would say, things like Song of Silver, Spice Road, those are all, I'm interested in them because of the setting for their fantasies, the Central, East Asian, Middle East, North Africa setting. I read fantasies in all of those places last year and I loved them, so I'm just happy to continue that wave. Brandon Sanderson, of course. I will be keeping an eye out for his other secret projects throughout the year, but I don't know what any of them are. That's what being a secret means. And I imagine I will wait until each one is released to see what they are, what they're about, maybe what some first thoughts are before I decide. But I do have a short list. I did, at the beginning of the video, mention that there were 4 further books that I was interested in checking out, but I don't know much about them. So let's go ahead and mention those briefly. Some of you may know of these, but if you don't, I'm happy to be putting them on your radar because they do sound really interesting and I do want to check them out from my library. And if I love them, I will be happy to support the authors by buying a copy for my home library. So, first one is The Lies of the Ajungo by Moses Ose Utomi. I don't know if I said that name correctly. I'm so sorry if I didn't. But very quickly, Tutu and his mother live in the city of Lies, a place devastated by drought and ruled over by the corrupt Ajungo. In exchange for providing water, the Ajungo demand the tongues of everyone over the age of 13, an agreement which was made out of desperation. However, the ruling class has allowed children to choose to go off into the desert in search of water. Many children have left, none have returned. When Tutu's mother's life is on the line, he decides to make the treacherous journey beyond the city limits, where he finds unexpected allies and the truth about their oppressors. So this one just has a really cool sounding premise. And yeah, it sounds like anti-colonialism. Always happy to find more fantasies that drill down on those. Well, maybe not colonialism, but conquered people fighting back. I like those kinds of stories. So that one comes out February 21st, right before the two big ones earlier up on my list. So I definitely won't be getting to this one right away, but I might check it out if I have a lull. The next one is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. I do think a lot of people know about this one already because Fonda Lee just wrapped up I don't know what the whole trilogy is called. It's like Jade War, the Jade War trilogy. I know the final book is called Jade Legacy. I read the first book a while ago, back when the paperback was new, I think. I read it on a whim. I think I got it on sale, and I read it when I was traveling, and it was fine. It was fine. It had a really interesting premise since it had some interesting characters, but it just wasn't really my cup of tea at the time. I know a lot of people really liked the trilogy, but I also know that the final book, I saw very strong opinions on both sides of loving it and being very disappointed by it. So I don't know if I will go back and finish those books, but I am kind of interested in the premise of Untethered Sky, which is supposed to come out April 11th, and it's a novella, so it's a smaller read. Might be more willing to give this one a chance. It's about Esther, who is an apprentice rooker, learning how to train a rock named Zara, a great falcon-like being with talons that could crush a man's head. Esther is one of the few young women in the program, which brings with it all the hardships you can imagine and makes her all the more determined to succeed. Not only to prove them all wrong, but to avenge the death of her mother and father, who were slain by a manticore years ago. So this is a new novella, and it's a tale of determination and trust as Esther faces the task of first bonding with Zahara and then participating in a dangerous hunt. The next one is called To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monaquil Blackgoose. And I saw the word dragon in the title, and I was like, well, okay, we can take a look. So here is what it's going to be about. They thought the Nampashiwe, the native dragons of the island, had disappeared long ago. They thought the dragon breeds of the colonizers had driven them out, leaving the dragon temples to crumble to ruin. So when Anarchus finds a single Nampashiwe egg, she knows it is her job to protect it and raise it amongst its people. What begins is an emotional journey as Anarchus bonds with her baby dragon and fights against the colonizers' attempts to eradicate her culture. So yeah, more anti-colonialism, fantasy, sounds really interesting, and it has dragons. So I'm gonna check. I will give this one a check, especially it comes out May 9th, possibly right before. So don't know if I'll get to it right away. I don't know if I pronounced any of that correctly, the names. So please don't roast me in the comments. I'm doing my best. But that one is supposed to come out May 9th. So yeah, and dragons, fantasy, dragon fantasy. Sounds like indigenous people style dragon fantasy, anti-colonialism. Maybe some other people want to check it out. Okay, and then the last one from the short list of what I'm willing to give a chance, I want to check it out, but I don't know that much about it, is The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang. And this one is supposed to come out June 20th. So the summary here is Lin Chong teaches a fight class for women, an intense program despite what any of her students' husbands think. As a master and scholar of her craft, Lin Chong is highly respected, even without a husband, and is a disciplined citizen. But when an authority figure crosses a boundary with her, Lin Chong's instinct to fight back lands her in jail. She is beaten and branded a traitor. She has no choice but to take matters into her own hands, which brings her to the Liangshan, a legendary group of female bandits. This is a retelling of the Chinese classic Water Margin, and kind of almost want to go look up the classic tale, but I don't know. With classic tale retellings, it's always sort of you're always risking spoilers by looking up the classic, the tale that it's based on, if you didn't already know. And some adhere more closely than others to the original myth, fairy tale, legend, classic, what have you. Some don't. I don't know much about this book or this author, so I don't know. And I don't know that many Chinese classics. So I am both tempted and also scared to go look up the water margin. Maybe I will wait to hear more about this book when it comes out, because with retellings, you can get ones that are really new and do like an interesting, unique take on it, or just do like just a really, really good interpretation of it. And then you get the ones that kind of fall flat and don't really stand up next to the original. So maybe I will decide to read one or the other based on how this one is received when it comes out. Well, I feel like that was a lot of books to be looking forward to in the year of 2023. It was 14 in total. Let me know in the comments if you didn't know about any of these books, but now you're interested. If you're also looking forward to any of the same books as me, if you've already read some of those books that came out in January, and if there's any that you think I would like that I haven't heard about yet. I feel like I've been doing a good job keeping an eye out. It is still early in the year, of course, so plenty others could still be announced to come out in 2023. I'm also going to do another video soon with a review of just the last few books that I read over December, January, and a whole year in review for 2022. And follow me on Twitter and TikTok if you want to see more content. I'm planning to do some more. I don't know if the mic is picking up the train. So sorry if so. Let me know if you like the audio, or if there's any problems with it. I got a new mic over the holidays as well. I think I'm happy with it so far, but who knows? And I think that's it. I don't know. I just have so many video ideas, and I didn't get to work on any of them all month because I was sick and then I didn't have my voice. So I'm very happy to be back. I hope all of you are happy to see me again. I'm very excited about this year. I've already started my spring semester of grad school, so expect another vlog soon. But yes, that is it for now. So until next time, readers, I hope you read something great, and I will see you again in the next video.